Hello everyone, this is Cam from Cam's Warp Room, and today we're looking at Star Wars Dark Forces Remaster. Some of you may have seen that on my channel before. I've done reviews of Star Wars Jedi Outcast and Star Wars Jedi Academy for the Switch and PS4, the versions ported over by Aspire. But today we are looking at Dark Forces, which is ported by Nightdive Studios. And we're not doing anything particularly fancy today, we're just going to be playing through the game, looking at what features are here. We're going to be looking at the Vault later on, and we're just gonna have a great old time playing this game. So we start off with the secret base mission. This is one of the most iconic missions in Star Wars gaming history, I would say. We're gonna play on medium difficulty because it's really not that difficult overall. This is actually the very first, well, actually I don't know if it's the very first time that they showed off how the Death Star plans were stolen, but this is the most iconic way that the Death Star plans were stolen before Rogue One came out. This is the, I mean, it was never canon, I suppose, Kyle Katarn stealing the Death Star plans, but this is how pretty much everyone assumed it happened. I think it was actually a selling point for this game, was that you saw how the Death Star plans were stolen. It only happens in this very first mission, and then the rest of the game is about the Dark Troopers, which would make an appearance in The Mandalorian Season 2, I think. I think it was Season 2, right? Now, this game originally came out on DOS, which, you know, is a whole different kettle of fish to what we got now. And this remaster from Nightdive Studios ports it over to something called the Kex engine, which is their own little engine, so it makes it more palatable for modern audiences. And it makes it seem more 3D than it used to be. So here, if you know, we're looking around, it just looks like any other 3D game. But what we can actually do is we can go into the options menu here. So if we then go into graphics options, and there's something called True 3D Perspective. If we turn this off, you will see what it originally looks like on DOS. And it is not very nice to look at. Of course, it looked even worse on DOS because the resolution was far, far worse. So we're going to turn this off, or rather turn True 3D Perspective back on. And there's a bunch of different graphical options you've got here. You've got the field of view you can change. I'm going to keep it at 90. And you can turn off and on the HUD. There's view bobbing you can turn off if you want to. Weapon flashing, that just literally turns off the flashing. So there's no flashing when you fire the weapon, because this, if you look at the flashing around you, could cause problems for some people that have, you know, epilepsy. HUD flashing as well, that's off by default. These are all the default options, by the way. Render mode, hardware and software. So what this means is, so hardware, it scales it up to the resolution of the monitor or the TV you're using. Software, however, is the original way that it looked, and this is really cool to me. This is how I originally played this game, and you can see the True 3D Perspective is turned off here because this is how the game originally looked, with none of the bells and whistles added to the remaster. There's also an anti-aliasing option and a bloom option as well that you can turn on if you so choose. And a great thing about this version of the game is that there are enhanced cutscenes and sprites as well. So I'm going to keep these on, but if you turn them off, no, actually no, I'll show off the sprites. So yeah, you can have the original sprites with hardware rendering. So you can see the gun looks way, way more pixelated. And if we turn it back on again, look, the gun is much smoother. You can also have it so at the end of Dark Forces missions, in the original game, you had to manually go into the menu when you reach the end of a level and actually click on continue level, or go to next level. In this game, in this remaster, you can choose to keep that, or you can have it automatically go to the next level. However, I recommend keeping it on manual because sometimes there might be an extra life or something that you've missed in the level that you want to go back for. Or in the case of this level in particular, there's actually an extra life at the very end of the level, and you will probably miss it if you turn on automatic level ending. There's also sound options here, so you've got the audio output, the sound volume, music type. So general MIDI is on at the moment. I don't know whether this applied to the PS1 version or a different kind of sound set up on the PC version, because what I remember is this version, OPL3. That is how the game used to sound to me. It sounds really outdated, but I also love it because this is just what I remember. And so this is how we're going to play the game. We're going to play it with OPL3. So Dark Forces is a Doom clone at the end of the day. And what that means is you go around and you collect key cards to unlock new doors. And then that lets you continue with your mission. So it's the same as Doom. It's just that there are stormtroopers instead of demons. You've also got various items as well. If I can remember how to... Oh, look, there's a map as well. A kind of useless map that is so confusing to look at. But it's there if you want it. You can crouch. There's this new weapon system, which was not in the original version of the game. In the original version of the game, you literally just press the number keys on the keyboard to switch weapons. But here you've got an actual weapon circle to choose from. So yeah, swap the modified Briar pistol and then the laser rifle. And you can also do hand-to-hand, which is cool. There's also something called the headlight, which is just a torch. There you go. So if you go into a dark area, you press a certain button, X on my Xbox controller, and it will turn on a little headlight. And what I just picked up then was a revive, because this game does have lives. If you look in the bottom left of the screen, you'll see the green stuff is the shields that you have. You know, like typical Doom, you got shields and you got health. In this game, the health is the 100, the little red circle in the middle. And then the 3 next to it is how many lives you have. Now, I'm going to be honest with you here. I don't remember what happens when you run out of lives, because I have not run out of lives yet in this game. This is a fresh save, but yeah, anytime I played this game, I have not run out of lives. So I can't tell you what happens if you run out. You probably just have to start again from the beginning of the level. In terms of difficulty, this game can be quite hard when it comes to the later levels. But there are, difficulty options, as you saw at the beginning: easy, medium, and hard. So if you're finding it a little bit too difficult or medium, put it down to easy. And there's also something called auto run in this game. Now, this might be a little bit confusing to you if this is your first time playing the game. Auto run disabled means you walk normally, so you walk this fast. And then if you turn on auto run, it means that Kyle sprints. It's just think of it like a sprint toggle, basically. And sometimes you might need to have auto run on in order to make a jump. It doesn't happen often, but it does happen. Right, and I think those are the basics that I've explained. So with that, we're just going to carry on here, and we're going to go find these Death Star plans. Look, there they are. This is really cool. When I was a kid, I just used to absolutely love seeing this here and just going inside it as well. It looked so real at the time. Obviously, it doesn't look very real these days. But back then, it was like stepping into the world of Star Wars. Legitimately. Right, what we've just done there is we've opened this door, and in here we have the Death Star plans.
This is too easy. Now to get to my ship.
And yeah, there is voice acting in this game. Not a lot of it within the missions, but there is voice acting. And there are proper cutscenes and everything. Well, I say proper cutscenes. They are animated, kind of, but they're kind of like animated pictures. But still, they're good enough. And then you do get actual FMV moments. Well, not FMV moments. CGI moments as well, which we'll probably see in a bit. Right, this here. Extra life. So this is the end of the level here. If you had automatic level ending turned on, you probably would run out of time if you tried to go over here and find that extra life. So if you got manual level ending turned on, you just come into your menu here and go on to next mission. Boom. Done.
Kyle delivers the plans to the Rebel Alliance. Soon afterwards, the Death Star is destroyed. But even as the Alliance celebrates this victory, another sinister plot is set in motion that will become an even greater concern for the Rebellion.
God, I love that sound quality, man. Yeah, so here we go. These are the enhanced cutscenes. They looked kind of like this in the original. These are just like cleaned up versions, so less aliasing.
Thank you, a noble cause, General. I hope the demonstration lives up to your claims. Proceed.
A pretty good Vader impression there. I don't know any of the voice actors here, but that was a good Vader impression. Better than some other Vader impressions I've heard. Oh, and here we go. These are the Dark Troopers, which is why the game is called Dark Forces. This is the piece of media that actually introduced Dark Troopers into the Star Wars media. And when you get to the end of the game, they are very difficult to destroy. And here we go. This is our first look at our boy, Kyle Katarn.
Thank you, Commander.
There he is on the left. So what's happening here is obviously the Dark Troopers have attacked this rebel base and absolutely annihilated it.
Interesting. This looks like it could be a normal Imperial attack, except for those sounds.
Oh, he sounds so cool.
Those sounds you heard, we believe, come from that weapon. A new type of stormtrooper, the Dark Trooper.
Ooh.
A new stormtrooper that can take out a rebel base that quickly?
I should have kept working for the Empire.
I want Jan Ors as my mission officer.
Hell yeah, Jan Ors. And there she is, Jan Ors, who... So, this is the thing about Rogue One. I'm pretty sure Jyn Erso was inspired by Jan Ors because, first of all, they look similar. I mean, just look at her. And then, second of all, Jan Ors, Jyn Erso, very, very similar. And I think Cassian Andor was probably inspired by Kyle Katarn, which is really cool, except for the fact that, I mean, spoiler alert for Rogue One, they die at the end of that movie. So you don't get any more adventures with them. Whereas with Kyle Katarn and Jan Ors, they carry on for multiple adventures in the New Republic era. So, you know, it's a shame that we didn't get that. It's a shame they're out of canon now. I mean, you could say that, you know, other characters have taken up the mantle. You know, there's the whole the Rebels crew, but there's just something about Kyle Katarn and Jan Ors that's just so... They're just so Star Wars, you know? They're not, you know, they're more morally grey, I would say. They're not perfect humans, as it were. So let's talk a little bit about what Nightdive Studios did to this game in terms of quality of life improvements. So one thing they did was implement full controller support. So I'm playing this with an Xbox Series X controller. You can also play it with a PlayStation controller, you know, whether it be a DualShock 4 or a DualSense. And then there's modern keyboard and mouse support as well. So it behaves just like you would expect from any other PC game. And I am playing this on PC, which is good because there's one downside to this version of the game, which is the fact that, oh yeah, I can't do this yet because there's no power. I've got to turn the power on. The thing about Dark Forces is that it has a very weird tick rate. And I'm not particularly technically savvy enough to explain what a tick rate is. But the gist of it is that it will judder if it's not at 144 frames per second or 72 frames per second or, you know, any other frame rate that is like a multiple of 72 or 144. So with this PC version, you can see in the left there, I've put it to 72 FPS. I could also put it up to 144 FPS because I'm playing on a 240 Hz monitor. But, well, yeah, I've just got it at 72 for now. So I'm not quite sure what this is going to look like on YouTube because the recording is recording at 60 FPS. I'm assuming it'll be just as smooth here. So yeah, the tick rate is to do with the camera. So when you're moving the camera, it's going to be a lot more juddery if it's at anything except 72 or 144 FPS or a multiple of those numbers. And that is why the PC version of this game is the best version, because you can just cap the frame rate to whatever you want. The console versions don't have that luxury, and I don't know why, because Dark Forces Remastered is available on the PS5, and the PS5 has the ability to play at 120 FPS. So what they could have done is added a 72 FPS mode in order for it to be smooth as butter rather than juddery. But as it stands, if you're playing Dark Forces Remastered on the PS5, it goes up to 120 FPS or 60 FPS, and there's nothing else apart from that. And with the Switch version, it's 60 FPS, just straight up, just 60 FPS. So yeah, that's why the PC version is the best. If you can get your hands on it, it will play on a potato, so you don't need to worry about that. Right, I'm actually going to concentrate now, because as I've been talking, I've forgotten where to go. Here we go. We'll bring that round. Oh god. Also, a little tip from me, the Briar pistol, look in the bottom right there, takes 1 unit of ammo per shot. The Stormtrooper laser rifle takes 2 units of ammo per shot. So if you're starting to run out of ammo, just switch to the blaster pistol and you should be fine. Obviously it's slower, but I'm sure you're good enough to deal with that. Actually, for my own sense of smoothness, I'm going to turn it on to 144 FPS. Okay, so what I said before about capping it to 144 FPS, forget I said anything about that, because it seems the game has an internal frame rate cap of 120. So you can't cap it to 144. 120 is as high as it goes. That's weird. So what I'm going to do is put it back down to 72 FPS. There you go. So now we know, if you're playing this game, play at 72 FPS for the smoothest experience. You will not be able to play at 144 FPS, which is what I previously thought you were able to do. And now for a little bit of story time. I first played this game as a kid. And I mean as a kid, like a small child. I played this game on my dad's DOS computer, because I am a 90s kid and this game came out in the 90s. I used to go into the garage, which is where my dad used to have his office, and just play this in there on that DOS computer. And those are really good memories for me. This is one of the earliest PC games I played. Crash Bandicoot 2 was one of the earliest console games I played, but this is one of the earliest PC games I played. And yes, I did need a lot of help in terms of knowing where to go and what to do. But because I played it as a kid, this game is quite close to my heart. You know, a lot of people talk about Doom and how Doom was such an influential game that inspired them. For me, it's Dark Forces. Dark Forces is the one I really love. And this might be blasphemy, but I think this game is better than Doom, the original Doom. I mean, crucify me in the comments if you want, but this game actually has a story to it, and it actually has level design that is slightly easier to get to grips with, I think. Well, except for the next level. The next level's a bit of a nightmare. Wait, where am I going? I didn't get the Dark Trooper clue. There's supposed to be a weapon, a Dark Trooper weapon in that area that I just totally forgot to get. Oh, there it is. Look at that thing.
Go ahead, Kyle.
Looks like I found something that can help us out.
Get back to the landing pad and I'll meet you there.
Oh god, sounds so good. Playing this game is like, it's like living the original Star Wars trilogy, essentially. It's got just the right amount of visual language shared with the original Star Wars trilogy. It's got the right type of music, ripped straight from the movies, as well as it's got its own bits and pieces of soundtrack. It's just a great time, and I highly recommend it. God, Stormtroopers coming out of the woodwork here. Obviously not happy that I've found their special weapon, the Dark Trooper special weapon. Extra life, yes. What I'd really like to see next from Nightdive Studios, though, is the sequel to this game, which is Dark Forces 2 Jedi Knight, or Star Wars Jedi Knight Dark Forces 2, whatever is the right way to say that. I think it's the latter, actually, because that game is really hard to get running on a modern PC, and a PC is the only way you can play that game. See, unlike Dark Forces, this game here, that had a PS1 version as well, Dark Forces 2 only has a PC version, so that's the only way you can play the game. And unfortunately, because it's so old, it's really hard to get running, and that goes doubly so for its expansion pack, Mysteries of the Sith, which stars Mara Jade, who you might know is Luke Skywalker's wife from the expanded universe, and who you might know from that little comedy sketch with Seth Green and a couple of other people. You know, the one where George Lucas goes crazy at the mention of Mara Jade. God, this level's a nightmare though. I don't really want to play this level right now because of the fact that it's basically just a massive maze in sewage. But I'm gonna do it because I'm spiteful like that, and I don't want this level to win, you know? But every game has a level like this. Those levels that you just don't want to play. And that's the charm, you know? But what we got to do here, really, is get over to that section there, bit where the lights are glowing. And to do that, we need to activate a bunch of switches to raise the sewage level in order to get there. But I'm going to go back here. Oh yeah, I forgot to say as well, this turns on the different the doors here. You have to go through each of them in order to activate those switches. So there should be one in here. There we go. That lowers that down there. So now there's a door over there. I don't want to go through that way because it will lead somewhere unpleasant for me. Here we go, another switch. There we go, it's raising the level. So we're almost there. I think we just need one more switch to activate. Oh no, I've got to go through this area. Alright, come on in. Headlight on, let's do this. Oh, this bit is not very nice. Come on, and here we go through the sewage slide. And there is the occasional monster down here. Oh man. This is the kind of level design you don't get anymore. Being pulled through a sewage system. Surrounded by those monsters from episode 4, A New Hope, from the garbage, the trash compactor. Okay, this should be the final switch here. Emphasis on should be, although... Wait. No, that's not right. Hold on. Oh god, I'm lost. Why am I lost? Is there a switch in there? No. Okay, alright, so that probably doesn't lead to the right place. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I forgot to go down here, didn't I? Or did I? Let's find out. Yes! There we go. Ow. There we go. So now we can go through that area there. We just have to get out of here to do that. And to get out of here, we're going to have to go back down here. Oh god. This bit's kind of like a horror game. Thermal detonators, nice. Don't need them now though. Well, they have got a very satisfying explosion in this game. See if I can show it off actually. Well, it's not going to work. Yeah, look at that. Very satisfying. Yeah, my personal nightmare scenario though is Aspire making the port of Dark Forces 2. That would be an absolute nightmare scenario. Okay, we're almost there, guys. We're almost there. Number 2, I think it was. So let's go through here. Yeah, there we go. So now that we're through there, we've got no more mazes to worry about. Just got to actually get through to Moff Rebus. Oh, God. That's because auto run's turned on. Going a little bit quick. Ah! Disgusting creature. Right, disable auto run. Oh, that's better. Much better. But this is an area where you will want to use auto run, because otherwise it'll be difficult to make that jump. Right, we're almost there. Where are you, Rebus? Get over here. And there he is. He doesn't even say anything. He's just accepted his fate. Right, there we go. End of the mission. And then this is the next level, which is the interesting one, where we have to infiltrate a prison to free Crix Maydeen, I believe. This is a cool looking level. Look at all these like cliffside environments. That's what I was going to say. Look at all these cliffside environments. But we're not going to play this level because we're going to end the video here. Thank you so much for watching. Watching this this look at Dark Forces Remastered, which is a brilliant game. It's a brilliant remaster. Almost perfect. It's just that tick rate issue that's an issue. But if you like what you saw here, I highly recommend that you pick up this game if you've never played it before. If you have played it before on DOS all those years ago, I highly recommend picking up the remastered version. There is a modded version of the original Dark Forces on something called the Force engine, which is apparently really, really good. I haven't played it myself, but that is also an option if you want. But the remastered version is great just for being pick up and play. You don't have to do any modding to it. It's already done for you here in an official capacity. But I forgot. Yeah, I forgot all about the vault. So here we go. Let's look at the vault. So here in the vault, we have a level that was previously unplayable, lost to time. But here it is, playable the Avenger. So this level was a playable prototype for the first stage in Dark Forces. So it takes place on a Star Destroyer and was included in the CES demo, and some images from it ended up in promotional materials. So, and apparently it was cut due to concerns of it being too difficult for new players. But you can actually play this level in Dark Forces Remastered. That's something that isn't in the Force engine version. But then you also have a bunch of bits and pieces about the game development, which is awesome. Concept art. Look at Kyle Katarn there. Concept art with descriptions about them. Cutscene development. You've got cool stuff here. Pre-rendered images. So all that's really cool to see, especially for a game this old. But that really is it for this video. So thank you so much for watching. Smash that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content like this. I also do retrospectives and silly challenge videos, whatever, mod showcases, stuff like that. So if that interests you, please subscribe to the channel, and I will see you next time on Cam's Warp Room.